what I realized is when you're in startup mode, you typically don't have the budget to hire the right people. And you probably even heard what will get you here won't get you there. And I think what they're really referring to, in my experience so far, is it's people. You have the people you can hire when you're an $800,000 agency or a $500,000 agency are completely different than the people you need to run a $2 million agency, which are completely different than what you need to run a $6 million and completely different to what you need to run a $10 million agency. And I never understood that hire the best people that you can afford today, or maybe that you can't even afford. Maybe you max out your credit cards hiring the people because they will return on investment to the level of that person. So if you hire a group of $2 million leadership team, you're going to have a $2 million company until you hire a $6 million leadership team. Then you're gonna have a $6 million company. And honestly, it was just that simple. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I wish somebody would have just broken it down for me because I didn't understand. I hired the best people I can afford. Now what? I just didn't realize that I was gonna have to continue to upcycle throughout the process.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
If you want to grow your business, you want to scale, you want to get to the next place inside of your mission, then you've got to hire the right people. I know this is a saying that we talk about all the time, but here's the reality. If you don't have the right people on this journey with you, it's going to be a lot harder and you're likely not to get there. When you hire the right people, you have collaboration and unity and trust and empowerment across the organization. And it doesn't stop there. They're able to execute. They're more productive. They're able to think, make decisions. Hiring the right people is a big part of your success moving forward. Our special guest today is Aaron VanderGalien. He is the founder, CEO of Deksia, and they are a small, medium business marketing company that has a unique approach to strategy and tactic alignment. You want to make sure you check out them. They're doing some great things over there. But in our conversation, Aaron and I talk about hiring the right people. How do they do it? What's the process? What are the things that they do differently than others? You'll learn a lot from this today if you're looking to scale your team and get the right people on it. One of the big insights behind this that he points out is that the people that you have at 2 million aren't the same people to take you to 10. And those people may not be the same people to take you to 50 million. I think his numbers were a little bit different, but I'll give you the big break points inside of growth because things shift very quickly as companies grow and they must evolve quicker than the company is growing itself. Well, inside my work as an executive coach, this is exactly what I do, is help executives grow and expand. That is the core of my business for the last decade. So that's how we serve clients to continue to grow their business. The other side to this is how do you get your employees aligned, increase their sense of urgency, improve their communication and their skills to lead others. And specifically, we have a program called Leadership on Ramp, where we are working with your team members in real coaching experiences. We train them with the foundation elements of these things, and we really help them expand their confidence and effectiveness as a leader. And if you're curious about those things, make sure you go to genehammett.com, schedule your call today. Love to get to know you and what's going on in your company. Now, here's the interview with Aaron. Aaron, how are you?
Great. Thanks for having me today.
I'm excited to talk to you. We're going to talk about hiring the right people and some other elements that go with that. Tell us about your company, Deksia.
Yeah, so Deksia is a small to medium-sized marketing agency, full service. We employ a lot of the principles that you'll see at the big agency of record style, but we've reduced it to work better for the small business client, the 15 to 250 employee company.
Well, that's probably our sweet spot. I'm kind of curious. I know we're going to talk about your team, but if you talked about marketing just for a minute, what do you wish CEOs understood about marketing that they don't seem to get?
That's a great question. So I think it's an interesting when you put CEO on it. I don't necessarily, and I think some of that we're going to talk about today, the difference between moving from a founder to a CEO or from an entrepreneur to a CEO. I think CEOs, companies 500 plus, they traditionally get the idea that you have a holistic strategy for your organization, and then you align the marketing to that strategy. And then once you've aligned your marketing or your brand or your message to that strategy, then you go out and buy the tactics that are going to fulfill that alignment, and so on and so forth. What I think is missed with your founder and your entrepreneur, your guys running your, or gals running your 15 to 250 employee company, is what they do is they say, hey, we need a website. And so the people that work with those companies are traditionally website companies. And so they call a website company and they say, hey, I'd like to build a website. And the website company says, great, we'd love to help you. We're your partner. So they sit down, they run them through some cool exercises. Let's do sticky notes on the wall and determine who your brand is and who you are and who your client is. And let's build this UI UX map. And you're like, yes, this is awesome. And then they deliver your website and it's fantastic and it's everything, but it doesn't change anything in your business. And you're like, wait a second. And then somebody goes, well, did you do PPC? And you're like, no, we didn't do pay-per-click. We should do that. And so then they go and they ask the website company, hey, listen, do you do PPC? And the website company goes, no, we're specialized in websites. You should talk to so-and-so PPC company. So they go over to the PPC company. The PPC company says, great, we'd love to do your business. Let us sit down and do a discovery session. Let's put some sticky notes on the wall. Now, here's the rub. The rub is this, and this is what CEOs or companies that work for Fortune 1000 big companies, that they understand that small business owners don't, is that when you go into that room the second time, you're going to answer however you're feeling that day. And it could be completely different than how you answered the first time you went into it. What CEOs understand is we build a strategy first, and then we align the tactics underneath the strategy, versus how small business owners buy. They buy tactics and strategy based on the tactic. And so it becomes weak, if that makes any sense. We use the bundle of sticks analogy. If you have one stick, i.e. a website, it's only that strong. But if you take your website, your digital marketing, your brand, your email campaigns, and they're all working together with the exact same strategy and the exact same words, it becomes a very strong bundle of sticks. You get a sore leg. You don't just get to break the stick anymore.
Love the analogies behind this. And in short, if you have just a tactical approach to marketing, it will probably frustrate you because you won't get the results that you want without the full strategy and alignment together, i.e. all the sticks.
That's right. In fact, what we've started to explore is we think there's three things that make you successful: the right message to the right customer, the right tactics to the right customer, and a cohesive strategy. We're convinced that if your message is wrong and your tactics are wrong, but your strategy is cohesive, you'll still be successful.
I love the simplicity of this. We don't talk a lot about marketing here. I know we could probably go on for days because I work with a lot of marketing companies just like you, and a lot of people are struggling with marketing. It would be a very good conversation. But I really wanted to bring you on here because Deksia has made the Inc. list. They've been growing, and I want to talk to you about, you got 38 people right now. You didn't start with 38 people, but the only reason why you're able to get to where you are, and I'm going to fill in the blanks for you, is because you hired the right people. And then that's really easy to say, but what goes into hiring the right people, Aaron?
Yeah. So I'd like to connect the dots a little bit because as a young entrepreneur, I remember going to GrowCo back when Inc. had GrowCo. And I remember listening to like the Mark Cubans or the Marcus Lemonis's and everyone, or Michael Dell's, and they would always say, hire the right people. And you're like, okay, I'm doing that. I'm hiring the right people. Now, 10 years later, I realize what they were actually saying. And so what I would like to do is, if I have an opportunity, I would like to connect the dots for you, because saying hire the right people is a no-brainer. You've heard it 100 times. The question is, how do you hire the right people? And what I realized is when you're in startup mode, you typically don't have the budget to hire the right people. And you probably even heard, what will get you here won't get you there. And I think what they're really referring to, in my experience so far, is it's people. You have the people you can hire when you're an $800,000 agency or a $500,000 agency are completely different than the people you need to run a $2 million agency, which are completely different than what you need to run a $6 million and completely different to what you need to run a $10 million agency. And I never understood that hire the best people that you can afford today, or maybe that you can't even afford. Maybe you max out your credit cards hiring the people, because they will return on investment to the level of that person. So if you hire a group of $2 million leadership team, you're going to have a $2 million company until you hire a $6 million leadership team. Then you're going to have a $6 million company. And honestly, it was just that simple. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I wish somebody would have just broken it down for me, because I didn't understand. I hired the best people I can afford. now what? I just didn't realize that I was going to have to continue to upcycle throughout the process.
A lot of people have to learn this the hard way. So if anyone is in this space of, I want to level up, one of the first places you look at is, are your people prepared for this? And many times they aren't. Sometimes people can be coached up in my world, but sometimes they have to be coached out. I want to ask you a question, like, what makes your leadership style work for your fast growth? Is there anything you can put your finger to?
Yeah. This is the next piece. There's a brutal reality to this. At the end of the day, if you're a founder and you're a startup founder and you're running a $500,000 company, you are a $500,000 president, CEO, whatever, founder, whatever you want to title yourself. That's what you are. If you're running a $2 million company, you're a $2 million founder or $2 million. So like when you look at Inc., like last year we posted 134% growth. This year we just refilled out our application. I think we're 490s. So, significant growth over last year. The thing you have to realize is that your leadership team has to grow at 490% to keep up with that growth, or 139%. It has to keep up with that growth by growing themselves that much. If they can't grow that much. So as the leader, if I want to keep my job and not hire somebody because they're a $10 million leader and I'm not, then I have to continue to grow exponentially. I spend 90% of my time growing, because if I'm not growing, I'm not going to be leading this company, because as soon as I'm not the right guy to lead this company, I'll hire someone to lead the company because it's cheaper than to not lead the company and restrict the growth, Now,
Aaron just said something really interesting. I spend 90% of my time growing and evolving. How much time are you committed to growing and evolving? You showing up and getting your task list done isn't the same thing. That's you being a tactical leader. And you may be thinking about the strategies that your company has. That's great too, but it's not being the exceptional leader that your company deserves and needs if you want to outpace your competition. You've got to be continuously evolving and growing. How do you do that? Well, you can read books that might help you, but the books never talk back to you. You might be able to find some programs that will help you and hang out with peers that are growing faster than you. That can help, but there's nothing better than coaching. I know that's what I do for a living, but I live it as well. I've spent $100,000 last year in my own coaching. I spent a lot of time committed to my own growth. How much time are you committed? Just think about that for a second. Back to Aaron. I love the fact that you talk about this, because it really is an important piece that people don't understand. Like they get frustrated because employees aren't stepping up. They aren't taking ownership of their projects. And the reality is blaming them doesn't help. It really is looking at yourself going, well, how have I led to where we are? And where am I not growing, or where should I grow? I want to switch gears back to hiring the right people. Is there a process that you guys leverage, or is there a concept that you could share with us that we could actually learn from?
Yeah. So we have a director of HR who really is more of a director of culture. I'm trying to think of what we do differently. I think we have a pretty standard hiring process, but maybe it's not. So I'll just run you through it. Find and recruit opportunity, or people that are good opportunities. HR interviews them. People in that channel that who they would report to interview them. Then it goes to the directors, whether it's ops, HR, or sales. They interview them, and then it comes to myself and my president, and we do the final interview. We're interviewing on GWC, get it, want a capacity, which is an EOS term, and then the core values, which is support your community internally and externally, strive to be and do your best and make it fun, and just assessing if they're a good fit from that aspect. So that's the general thing. That's pretty standard. One of the things that we have done so our why for Deksia is to help people succeed, to give people a fighting chance, is actually the technical verbiage. That's our employees, our clients, and our clients' employees. And so one of the ways we do that is we do an internship program. So we have a 3-month internship for internship 1. Then we have a 1-month internship 2. And if you get through that, then we go to apprentice 1, which is 4 months, and then apprentice 2, which is another 4 months, that's a 1-year program. At the end of that, we hire you in. Sometimes we hire you in faster if you just are exceeding expectations, and we do that. But every trimester, I guess we run. So we run a 4-month block. We have anywhere from 10 to 15 interns with us that we're growing and scaling. And frankly, if they don't stay with us, they go on to another company. We have organizations that we have good relationships with. We're like, hey, we've got some digital people coming off. Are you interested in digital people? And in fact, any of your listeners, if you're looking for great interns and apprentices, send me an email or send Gene and connect us somehow. And we will happily push great interns your way that are ready for the next step, maybe apprenticeships in your organization. But that's one of the ways that we curate our own talent, if you will.
Now, Aaron just talked about values inside the hiring process. There's two things that I want to really point out for you. They're very quick. I've talked about them before, but I just want to re-emphasize them. The first one is have a library of questions that really support your people that are interviewing people, that make sure that they are aligning to the values, so that you're assessing people not just on their skill level, not just on how they feel at their gut level, but do people really live the values naturally? It really is important to support them through this process. And then secondly, are you onboarding them powerfully? So are you spending time talking about what the values are and answering questions? All you have to do is take time to do this right, and you will find it pays off in spades. Back to Aaron. I love that approach, and maybe I'm even interested because we're trying to get our marketing right, Aaron. You said something in there that was really interesting to me about the core values. I have my own feelings about how important these are, but what is your perspective of hiring based on core values?
Let me take it to a little more personal level, and I'll tell you, this is how much I value core values. So a couple things that I learned a lot. There's a lot that came out of EOS. So we run EOS. We're an EOS-based company. Core values is interesting. One of the things that I did once we implemented core values in our company is we implemented them at home. And this is where I'm going to take the story. So in my family, I have a daughter. She's 12 now. At the time, she was 8. I said, hey, let's make core values for our household. And so my wife, my daughter, and we all sat down and we envisioned the core values that we wanted. And we really let her drive this conversation. And so at home, they're work hard, help others, and act with respect. And so those are our 3 personal core values at home. And what's fascinating about it in the home is it's really given us the guidelines on how to reward her and how to punish her. So when we're punishing her for not acting with respect, we're punishing her for not working hard, or we're punishing her for not helping others. In the reverse, we're rewarding her for working hard, helping others, and acting with respect. So we're using it. When you think about a kid, it becomes easy. Like you're disciplining, you're rewarding and punishing based on those core values. Well, it's the same way in a company. Not punishing. We're not putting our employees in timeout or anything silly, right? But what we're doing is we're encouraging those behaviors, and those behaviors lead to success inside the organization. Does that make sense?
I'm just in awe. This is the reason why I do a podcast, because I learn something every day from people how are they using things? I'm writing a book on the importance of living your values. And I've never heard this before as it relates to home. I've heard the home values thing, but it's so easy for me to understand. Hopefully others are taking the notes that they need to. I go back to a really detailed question inside this. Is there anything you specifically do with values to make sure you're hiring the right people? Is it questions that you're asking them, or a process that you go through for grading, if you will?
That's a great question. So we do go through, when we're hiring, we go through, like we're tell us a story, tell us how you work out or how you help your community or whatever. And it's interesting, but sometimes they'll just open up. Like, great example, we had an interview yesterday, former intern, a year ago was an intern with us, wants to come back as an apprentice with us, really didn't find the traction in the industry that he was looking for, said, hey, we'd love to come be the apprentice. So I'm listening to a story. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me what's going on, how your life been. Well, for the last year, he's been helping out a sick relative. I don't know if it passed or not, but helping out a sick relative. I'm like, well, I don't have to ask him, is he supporting his community internally and externally? I mean, the guy's living it. The last year he was serving a sick relative, And then we're like, what do you do for fun? And he's talking about how he's a power reader and into deep sci-fi, books and stuff. So it's like, we don't have to ask him that. He's having fun. Here's how he's having fun, and then we're like, okay, like, what have you done to do your skills in the last, so we're not asking it on the nose, like, tell me a time when you've, strive to do and be your best, and we're asking questions around the values to see what's just naturally there. And a lot of times they'll share it with you, and we're just like, yep, that's right. Yep, that's right. Yep, that's right. Okay, this is the guy, or a gal.
Are you an Inc. 5000 CEO looking for a unique experience? My hope is that you want to take your business to the next level. You want to gather with other Inc. 5000 CEOs
which just isn't available in most of the peer groups that you're probably able to connect with. But when we get together, it's an intimate group of people that are growing their businesses. We're learning from each other about strategy, about execution, leadership, culture, and all things growth. Plus, we actually designed this to have deep conversations to get to the real issues so that you can really grow your business. And we do something fun. We take time to race Porsche 911s. You'll be paired with a professional driver, and it'll be something that you can do that's very different than you've ever done before. Join us for this event. It's invite only, but find out more details at genehammett.com/events. We've been talking about hiring the right people, and I'm curious, is there anything that you feel like people are looking inside your organization that attracts those people? Is it a culture thing? Is there career pathing that you guys do that really attracts this top talent?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I heard it. I heard it from an author, and I'm trying to think of who it was. But one of the things he said is he talked about how success begets success begets success begets success. So, and it's true. But like when you're new and you're starting up, when you go into that sales client meeting and you really want that deal, they can smell it on you. And like, not like really, but like kind of, And so it's like the same thing when you're first trying to hire that first employee you can't really afford. They're like, I don't know if this company is quite ready for me yet, right? And so they can kind of smell it on you. And then you have some success and they can smell that on you. And you have more success. And pretty soon, even clients, I mean, I remember we used to fight and fight and fight to get people to call us or anything. And now our phone rings pretty much, I mean, is to some level, as much as we want. We always want more, right? Because we want to continue to grow and expand and impact more lives and give more people a fighting chance. But I think they kind of smell it on you, right? So the employees are the same way. They come into your organization, you're like, wow, this is a world-class facility. All of our staff, for the most part, work in the office. We are an in the office staff. There's a lot of research pointing to health and separation between work-home life balance with working in office. So we've taken that model. We've also taken the model, if we want to be unlike anyone else, we have to do things unlike anyone else. It hurts us. Frankly, it hurts us. There's employees that don't want to work here because they can't work remote. But I think as much as it hurts us, I think it helps us. I think we've lost 4 people that have left to different opportunities since COVID. We've probably lost 10, but 6 of those weren't good fits. But that's a really, really low number for us in 4 years.
Well, we've been having a great conversation with Aaron about hiring the right people, and it really is the foundation, I think, to growing and scaling your business, because not only do you have to have the right strategy and the right customers and have cash flow, but you have to have the right people. I didn't get into some of the research I've done around this, but it really is a pleasure to have you here, share your wisdom with us.
Yeah, awesome being here. It was great to hear it from you too, Gene.
Wow, what a great interview. I always love pulling out details of how people are doing it. Hopefully you find that as interesting as I do, because I think it makes me a better coach, and you listening to it and you applying this information and insights and strategies to your business will make you a more successful company and a better leader. If you have anything that I could support you in, we take on a few clients every year. We partner deeply with our clients. We really support them across many functions. And if you're curious about that, make sure you check out genehammett.com. When you think of leadership and you think of Growth Think Tank. As always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.